All right, so one of the main things that I got asked after the last class was they wanted to go over a little bit more of the parentheses stuff. So I figured we'll start off with a few problems of those and then we'll go into the topics for tonight. So whenever you have a number that's out in front of the parentheses, basically what's known as distributing. So we're going to take this number out here, 10, and we're going to distribute to the numbers on the inside. So if there's no number next to the letter, it's assumed to be a 1. So I have 5 times 1 is 5, and then I just put the x squared. Next one's 5 times 3, and that's 15, x. And then 5 times the negative 2 would be negative 10. Now, I can't put anything else together. I can't simplify that at all because the x squared and the x are not like terms. So those can't go together. Another one that, a similar thing, basically the same concept, but when we add in negative numbers. So that can be a little bit more confusing. So let's do negative 3 and we'll do 2x minus 5y plus 6. All right, this one, same thing. Did you find one? Okay. Same thing, just because there's an x and a y doesn't mean anything, doesn't change the process at all. I'm going to take the negative 3 and I'm going to multiply it by all 3 things inside. Negative 3 times a positive 2, negative times a positive gives you a negative. So I have negative 6x. Then I do negative 3 times negative 5. So negative 3 times a negative 5, 2 negatives make a positive. So that gives you a 15y. And then negative 3 times 6 is negative 18. Does that make sense? Okay. There was one other problem. Let's see if I can actually. So we'll do one more because there was one other topic where it was similar to that, but then you had to do some simplification at the end. So let's do one like that. Let's do 5 minus 6 times x plus 2. Let's do this one. I actually don't know if any of these will show up on Alex, but I know this one has a couple issues with it that'll screw people up. So we'll do this one. All right. So when we're looking at this, we have to do the multiplication first. I'm going to take, and I'm basically going to break the problem right here. So I'm just going to look at this part right there. So the 5 I'm just going to really bring down. Now I'm going to do this. So I'm going to do negative 6 times x and negative 6 times 2. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. Negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. Most people would have gotten the negative 6x. Okay? The mistake that's normally made in this one is most people would have put a positive 12. Okay? Because they would have forgotten that this negative sign right there was with that 6. So drawing the box and kind of separating it off helps clue you into that negative goes with the 6, and I need to distribute the negative sign just like we did with the negative 3 at the top. So now on this one, we do have to combine like terms. So I have negative 6x, and then 5 minus 12 is negative 7. So there's my final answer. Any other questions with that? Does that make sense? Does that take care of a few of the issues that I know people were having with those? All right. Okay, let's pull up the other problems. Let's see where we're at. All right, so we've got u minus 6 equals 7. I can tell you right now that I will bet everybody in this class can do this problem off the top of your head without even thinking. Okay? What's the answer? What minus 6 would give you 7? Okay, I take what I just said back. 13. All right. Most people can do simple problems like this in their head, or as long as you can do the basic addition and subtraction. So just because it's all right, 13 minus 6 is obviously 7, or if it was like 3 plus or x plus 5, this is the one that normally is really x plus 5 equals 8. Okay, x has to be 3. It's like those are really easy to do, right? However, the problem comes when we start doing the multiple step equations, where you have to do 2 or 3 steps to get the answer. If you don't understand the steps for the single step problems, because you just do it in your head, when you get to those multiple step equations, you're lost. Okay? So it's a really good habit to get into, is actually looking at these problems and actually following through the same process that you're going to use when you do the multiple step equations. All right? So u minus 6 equals 7. I need to get the u, this, by itself. Totally missed that the actual transcript was still on the screen for you guys. Sorry. Actually make this a little bigger for you. If I can actually make it totally full screen. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's a little better. All right. So u minus 6 equals 7. So I'm going to do u by itself. So what do I need to get rid of? I need to get rid of that negative 6. So what is the opposite? What is the inverse of negative 6? Positive 6. So I'm going to add 6. Now, an equation is like a balance. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So if I added 6 here, I have to add 6 there. Now, this is a step that most people do not do. However, you will catch a lot of your mistakes by doing this. Actually add down. So u comes down. What's negative 6 plus 6? That's 0. Should be 0. And then 7 plus 6 is 13. The reason I say do that step is the mistake that I see happen very often is this. They'll just do minus 6 minus 6. And they'll just assume that crosses off and get u equals 1. However, if you ask yourself this step right here, negative 6 minus 6, you're not going to get 0. Okay, if you do that in the calculator or anything else. So you'll catch those little mistakes that you make that when you're doing it really quickly. So that's why writing that step down and asking you those steps is definitely beneficial to you. So in this problem, the answer is 13. All right, just because it's a decimal doesn't actually change any of the process. So you have u plus 2.39 equals 7.37. And actually, I think on this one, they do not give you a calculator on this one. Wow. Oh, wait, maybe. Nope. All right, so same process though. And you can use a scientific calculator if you have one, that's fine. We're doing the exact same thing. This is a positive 2.39, so how am I going to get rid of a positive 2.39? I'm going to subtract 2.39. So u, positive 2.39 minus 2.39 does cancel itself out. 7.37 minus 2.39. Well, if it was 2.37, the answer would be 5, right? So I got to take 2 more hundredths away from that. So it's 4.98. Those are a lot of times you're going to hear me do little things like that. And the goal when I'm saying those isn't to just say, well, you could use a calculator to do it or take out your calculator. It's to give you those little hints and everything else on how to start doing stuff in your head. All right. It's like, make it simpler. Like those are pretty close together. It's like, all right, if that was 2.37, that cancels out. It says 7 minus 2. All right, I meant 5. But I took 2 away from it. Well, I still have to take those 2 away. So that's where the 4.98 comes from. It's just those little things to be able to make your life a little bit easier and be able to do those calculations quicker and stuff in your head. Okay, so in this case, we've got 4.98.
Look for the bigger problems. Write it out and whatnot.
Oh, absolutely. And that's also why I'm saying actually write out and get into the habit of writing them out on the easier set problems. Because if you get in that habit on these, when you get to the harder ones, it's like, it's just going to become second nature. Okay, I got to do the same thing. So this one, we've got x minus 7 equals -2. Again, same process. Nothing's changed in these problems. We're just adding negative numbers in here. How do I get rid of the -7? Yeah. So we're going to do what? We're going to add the 7. Okay, so we're going to add 7 to both sides. So x, -7 plus 7 is 0. -2 plus 7 is 5. Remember, same signs we add them, different signs we subtract. So we're taking 7 minus 2, which is 5. The 7 is the bigger number, so it's going to be positive in this case. The wonderful fractions. Dun, dun, dun. Again, same process over and over again. Just because decimals, just because fractions, just because side numbers, the process for it doesn't change. We just have to do the calculation with different numbers. So in this case, w minus 1/2, we're going to do what? We're adding 1/2. Okay. So w minus 1/2 plus 1/2 is 0. But now we've got to do what to add these two fractions? We need what? We need a common denominator. So what's my common denominator going to be? 10. So we've got 5 for that one and -6 for that one. So -6 plus 5 is going to be -1. They're different signs, so I subtract. 6 minus 5 is 1. The 6 is bigger, so it's negative. So -1 over 10. If any of you want me to do another one of any of these particular problems, just tell me and I'll do another one. It's fine. Let's see what was 6, because that's a little different. Yeah, let's do 5 or 6 first. Yeah. No, I'm going to go back to it. I just want this is again the same process as the ones we just did. So, all right, they actually show you this one differently in the problem, in the actual explanation. But we're going to do it the same way. What am I going to get rid of? I'm going to get rid of the 125. So I'm going to subtract 125 from both sides. So I get negative w. 50 is 75, plus 5 is 80, plus 3 is 83. So we've got 58. Am I done? No. I have a negative sign in front of my w. All you have to do to get rid of a negative sign, just swap all the signs. You're basically multiplying the whole problem by -1. So this becomes w equals -58. That's it. The way that Alex shows you how to do this one, Alex shows you to do it this way. They tell you to add the w. So we get 125 equals 183 plus w. And then they subtract the 183.
Yeah, they do basically reverse.
So you get -58 equals w. Same answer, right? It doesn't matter which way you do it. I look at it as this way, follows the same process you've been doing all along, so don't change up what you actually know how to do. So you just have to make sure not to just eliminate the negative sign without doing anything with it. Don't forget that it's there. All right, so the next set. All right, I'll go back to 5. For all those that were totally worried that I was going to skip it. Yeah. Okay, I don't want the answer. I want to know how you get the answer. How do you get the answer? Correct. So if when in the addition and subtraction, we did the inverse was either the opposite one, right? So if it was adding, I'd subtract. If it was subtraction, I'd add. This is now multiplication. What's the inverse of multiplication? Is division. So we're going to divide by the number next to the letter. So we're dividing by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, not 0, 1, which is fine because I want the letter left, and that's 1. 39 divided by 3 is 13. Okay. Common mistake in this one is going the wrong direction. Again, if you do that and you actually did exactly what I just said, you would catch your errors. Okay, I've seen quite often that people will do this. Actually, let me do this in a different color so people know that it's wrong. And then say, oh, W equals 13. That's the right answer, right? Totally the wrong way to do it, though. Okay? Because they go, oh, well, I can't have a fraction, so it's got to be 13. Well, yes, we can have fractions. We will do problems with fractions. Lots of years teaching in high school. I've seen it all. All right. It doesn't happen normally in the very small problems. It definitely happens in the larger ones. But you would have caught the mistake because you would have gone 3 divided by 39. Wait, I can't do that. My goal is to get the W by itself, so that doesn't work. Okay. This is why a lot of times, and you notice when you said, oh, I got the answer, I said, I want the answer. I want to know how you got the answer. My high school kids get driven crazy by this because I always ask them the question, why? It's like, because the answer isn't important. It's how you got there. Because you can guess and get the answer. You can do the wrong steps, as I just showed you. Get the answer. All right? Understanding the process is going to help you in the long run. So that's 13. All right, let's look at this one. So 24 equals 3 over 2y. You can do this one of 2 ways. I'm going to show you both. You can choose which way you want to do it. You can do this in 1 step or 2 steps, basically. All right. So I believe the way that Alex shows you is multiplying by its reciprocal. So you multiply both sides by 2/3. I believe that is how Alex shows you to do this. All right, which is fine. So when we're looking at this, what's 2 times 24? 48, and then we divide 48 by 3. So here's a better way. You know how I always say multiply by the top and then divide by the bottom? Multiplication and division. We can do this in any order, right? What's 24 divided by 3? 8. That's a lot easier, right? What's 8 times 2? 16. Either way works. Okay? So if you look at it and go, oh, I can divide that 24 by 3. It's really easy. Let me do that. And then you can take that number and multiply by 2. It's faster than trying to figure out what 48 divided by 3 is. Okay? So the answer ends up being 16. Now, this side, what ends up happening is they cancel each other out. And it ends up being just equals y. Okay? That's one way to do it. You can do this in 2 steps. All right? Because in essence, that's what we just did. So 24 equals 3 over 2y. You can say, all right, let's multiply both sides by 2. So that becomes 48, and that's just going to cross off the bottom 2. Equals 3y. And then divide by 3. I'm almost positive it actually does the reciprocal. And that still equals 16. We will find out. Let's look. Did I not turn on the actual, hold on. Okay, there it is. I'm like, did I not turn on the actual, yep, reciprocal. Like I was almost positive they did the reciprocal, which sometimes drives me nuts because sometimes it's easier to do the other direction. Now we know. You're multiplying by the bottom because that's technically the division step. And to get rid of division, we're going to multiply. And then the top is the multiplication, so we divide by that to get rid of that one. That's why up here, see, I basically just flipped the fraction over. That's in essence why we're doing it, because we're dividing by the 3 and multiplying by the 2. Okay. So either method works. It's up to you which way you want to do. In the grand scheme, as long as you get the right answer and do the right process, doesn't matter to me. So x divided by 3 equals 4.8. So now this one's got division in it, right? What's the inverse of division? We were just talking about it a second ago, right? Inverse of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply the whole problem by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is gone. So that's x equals. That's close to 5. So 5 times 3 is 15. And we did 0.2 times 3 is 6. So 14.4. Because I have to take away 6 if I added the 6. Or 0.6, I should say. Okay, so to get rid of division, we multiply. To get rid of multiplication, we divide. And if it's a fraction, you're technically doing both. All right. No difference with this one. We're just adding in negative signs. So negative 32 equals negative 4w. It also doesn't matter which side the w is on. Like that doesn't make a difference in the process. So in this case, I'm dividing by negative 4. When you're multiplying and dividing, you do not change the sign. Okay? When you're adding and subtracting, we're technically not changing the sign, we're changing the operation. Right? So when I had a negative 5 and I put a positive 5, I'm not really putting a positive 5, I'm adding 5. Okay? So in this, the negative 4, I'm dividing by negative 4, so I'm changing the operation from multiplication to division. All right? So divide by negative 4. 2 negatives make a what? Positive. 32 divided by 4 is 8. So 8 equals W. They do want these simplified as much as possible. That is simplified as much as possible, obviously, we just did division. But if it was a fraction, you would have to simplify the fraction. I don't know if there's actually a fractional one in this one. I think this one all comes out to be whole numbers. And even though your answer over here was 8 equals W, W equals 8, still it's the same thing. You can swap them around. (28) equals negative 7 over 9x. So Let's just do the reciprocal on this one, because we're going to break it up anyway. You're multiplying by a -9/7. So this side, everything cancels out, so it's left with x. Now, me personally, I would not do 9 times 28, because that's not easy to do in my head. But 28 divided by 7 is what? 4? Good. What's 9 times 4? 36. That actually isn't too hard to do. Is it positive or negative? It's a negative, because I have one negative side. Okay. Is it all coming back to you now? Some more problems I have. Okay, now we're going to go back to this one. When they're looking for solutions to a problem, so they're giving you values, -7, -8, 4, and 6. So all they're asking you to do is plug those problems into, or those numbers into the equation and find the answer. Find out which one's the solution. Okay. If it's an equation, how many answers can I have? How many different answers could V be? All the problems we just did, how many answers did they have? This is not a trick question. They all had one answer, right? There was only one answer for it. There's only one answer for this. Okay? You can do this topic 2 different ways. You can do it the way they ask you to do it, or you can do it the other way, which I'm going to show you. I will show you their way first, though. What they want you to do is plug the number into the problem. Okay? So they want you to take the -7 and plug it into the problem. So we've got -4, -7 plus 1. And let's see what the answer comes out to be. What's -4 times -7? 28 plus 1 is 29. So -7 doesn't work. Okay? Then they want you to do with the -8. So -4 times -8 plus 1. So what's -8 plus 1? -7. So -4 times -7 is 28. Hey, that one works. Right. So if you did 4 plus 1, you get 5. 5 times that's going to give you a negative. So I know that one doesn't work. 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 times -4 is -28. I wanted a positive 28, so that one also doesn't work. That's how they want you to do it. Huh? No. That was literally why I asked that question before. How many solutions have all the problems had? Only one. So now, that is not true about every problem for all of math. Okay? When we get to quadratics and stuff like that, you will have multiple answers. So that is a possibility. Okay? But for these problems, there is only one answer. So the other option that you have, since there is only one answer, is let's just find the answer. Let's actually do the problem. How do I get rid of parentheses? What did I do at the beginning of class? I just multiplied, right? So I have -4v minus 4 equals 28. Simple enough? Yep. All right. Now, this problem, unlike all the ones we've done so far today, has two things I got to get rid of. Which one should we get rid of first? They're both negative 4s. So you're right, but not very helpful in your answer. What's the order of operations? The order of operations is parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, right? If we're solving, we're in essence going backwards. You always got to get rid of your parentheses first to find the actual problem, so that part's a little off, but you want to do addition and subtraction first. You want to get rid of that first. And then you want to get rid of your multiplication, division, and then you want to get rid of any of your exponents. So we want to get rid of the 4 first, the negative 4 at the end. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. So negative 4b, that's gone, equals 32. Now, how do I get rid of the negative 4? I divide. So that's v equals negative 8. Either way works. Either way gets you to the answer. And since there is, now, I will tell you right now, I have seen, there's only ever going to be one answer. I have seen it be none of them. Okay? I have seen it be none of them. So just be wary of that. If you solve it and none of them come out, if you plug them in and none of them come out to be done, that is possible. Yeah, they like to trick you sometimes. It doesn't happen often, but it's one of those things, I'm giving you the warning because I don't want you to go, wait, why did I get this wrong? There's no answer. It can happen. All right, let's see what the rest of these are real quick. I think they're just all solving equations. Oh, that's the two-step problem. All right, so let's go do the two-step problems first. All right, so we've got 36 equals 4u minus 8. Same concept as what I just did in the last one. We just don't have in parentheses in this one. So which one of the numbers do we want to get rid of first? I want to get rid of the negative 8. So we're going to add 8 to both sides. So I got 44 equals 4u. Negative 8 plus 8 is 0. Now I want to get rid of the what? Get rid of that 4. So I'm going to divide by 4. So I get 11 equals u. I know I've done a bunch of these, but how's everybody doing? You guys good on this? Does it make sense? Is all the little gears clicking into place? All right. Because trust me, if you don't get this, the next set of problems where I give you like a problem like this long with parentheses and multiple variables and everything else, ain't gonna make any sense. So make sure you can get the easy problems before we get the hard ones. I think actually we already did this one. I don't know why it was on here twice. Yeah, probably. That's okay. All right, this one. Actually, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you a slightly different way to do this one. What do we got to do first? Yep. So I'm going to subtract the 162 from both sides. So we got 104 equals negative y. What's the number in front of y? What's the number in front of y? Right. If there's no number there, there's always a 1. Now, I hear quite often, oh, y is 1 or x is 1. Nope. The coefficient of it is 1. Okay? I know, I understand completely that that's what everybody's saying. But it's just one of those wording things that be very careful when you say it. Because when you say X is 1 or Y is 1, unless the person knows what you're talking about, they'll make the assumption that that's the answer. Okay? So it's very important in how you word things. So in this case, I'm going to divide by -1 because that's the number in front of the Y. So that's how I get the -104 equals Y. So in essence, it's what we did before. We just swapped the signs. But it's the same as the last problem I just did, but with 2 steps. We did the subtraction, then we did the division. So we have -11 equals 2x minus 3. And then we'll go back and do the couple word problems. This is no different. It's just with sign numbers. It's with integers. So what do I got to do first? So how do I get rid of the -3? Right, so I'm going to add 3. So I have -8 equals 2x, because 11 minus 3 is 8, and the 11 is the biggest one, so it's negative. Yes?
By 2.
So we're going to divide by 2.
And then negative.
So -4 equals x. So as you can see, there's 14 of the topics we did is in essence the same thing over and over and over again. All right. But they're all slightly different. And that's the thing. It's like, and I think what ends up happening quite often is that we get in a situation where you throw in a fraction or you throw in a decimal and instantly in your brain you think, oh my God, something's different. It's like, I got to do something different. It's like, you have to get past that point. Right. It's the same process. It's the same steps. It's the same thing. You only need to learn like 1 or 2 rules and you can do all of them. So it's like, I think people get overwhelmed in down in the weeds and stuff. And it's like, just go back to those simple rules and you'll be fine. So it's like we did my high school classes today. My Algebra 2 classes, they don't really know how to graph so well. And then we threw an inequality symbol in there and they're like, oh my God, I can't do this. It's like, stop, go back. Graph the line first, then we'll go from there. It's like, we can do that. It's like, but they freak out because one little thing changes. And they think they got to learn a whole new set of rules. Nope, one step at a time. All right, so there's a couple word problems, topics in here. I just want to quickly go through. I know we did a little bit of the expressions. The only difference between this and the expressions is the word is. Is, yeah, that's a horrible is. Let's try that again. Is equals. So in this problem, I have 52 is the sum of 16 and Matt's score. What's operation is sum? Addition. So I'm just going to do 16 plus Matt's score. And that's my answer. They don't want you to solve it. Okay, they just want you to translate it. So equals 16 plus n. Let's see one more. I just want to see. Yeah, they do some products in there. Okay. This one, the product of Mabel savings and 2. Which product? Multiply. So I've got m times 2, which is horrible. You never want to write algebra that way. You just write it as 2m. Never use an x for multiplication ever, ever, ever again. You know why? Because it looks like a variable. Okay? And you don't even actually really want to use the dot for multiplication in algebra, because the dot looks like a decimal point, which will also screw you up. So if it's a number and a letter, just put them next to each other. 2m, that's the universally known as multiplication. If you have more stuff, put parentheses. Okay? whenever you're writing problems, always use either just put next to each other or use parentheses to show multiplication. Get in that little habit. And then it's is 36. So 2m equals 36. Oh, the wonderful word problems we have to solve. All right. So the yearbook club had a meeting. The meeting had 24 people in it, which is 3/4 of the club. What word did I say was the equal sign? Is. So 24 is 3/4 of the club. Okay. Now they want to solve it. So we have to get rid of 3/4. We're going to do exactly what we did in the other problem. We're going to multiply by the 4 over 3. So what's 24 divided by 3? 8. 8 times 4? 32. Equals C, because those cross off. This one, they want you to translate and actually solve it. All right, and that's it.